Hello everybody, welcome to Black All Year. I am Steph Edusei. This week's guest is truly the definition of the term young, gifted and black. I'm going to let her tell you how young she actually is, but I cannot tell you how blown away I was by how articulate, intelligent and just overall amazing this young woman is. I found this conversation with Kayla Ayerty truly inspirational, and I know you will too. So, hi Kayla, it's really great to have you as a guest on the podcast. You are the youngest guest that we've had. It'd be great for you to tell us a little bit about you first of all. So first of all, how old are you?
Well, I'm 13 years old. My birthday's in January. My favorite subject is English, obviously. I've enjoyed it since I've been quite young. I've loved writing stories and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of stuck with me as I've grown older. I enjoy drama and theatre. I love music. That's one of my biggest pastimes. If you ask any of my friends, they would say I always have my headphones on. So
yeah, so listening to music a lot of the time. And you live in London, is that right?
Yeah, I do. East London.
And have you lived in London all your life?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, never moved anywhere else.
So you were saying there you really like English. You've got a little while to go until you do your GCSEs and things like that. But what's really impressed me is how much you've achieved at the age that you are. I think it's really quite impressive. I'm really interested. How did you get into writing plays? How did that come about?
Well, I think a lot of my inspiration comes from my family, especially my father, because he's a real big acting guy. When I was growing up, he would take me to the theater, to his rehearsals and all that. So I think I kind of grew up in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
So it built on my passion for theater, and then along with school and just my own interest for writing, it kind of all meshed together. So yeah, and as well with other family members, especially my grandmother. Yeah, she's been a massive part in it. My grandma Janice, she fuels me as well. That's the same with a lot of my family members. They all encourage me to do better. So I think a lot of my passions come from them.
Yeah. And you got into, and were you just writing short plays for school, or what was it that you were doing when you started to kind of do your writing?
I think from a younger age, it was stories and stuff, short stories.
Mm-hmm.
But in school, it's mainly diary entries and newspaper articles and all that kind of stuff. So I think the skills that you learn doing these different forms of writing overall, you kind of use them to all combine to create playwriting. Because I don't think I had done that before. I don't think I'd written a script before then, but I think I just gave it a try and just used what I already knew to just make it happen.
Yeah, because writing a script is very different to writing a story.
Yeah, it really is.
And you've got to, obviously, when you're telling a story, you may well have speech in there, but really you've got to tell, in a script, you've got to tell the whole story through speech and through characters and things like that. So yeah, really, really different.
Yeah.
So, and your first play that you had produced, was that the musical?
Yeah, Walking Blind.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about Walking Blind, because were you only 9 when you did Walking Blind?
When I started writing it, I was 9. But obviously during that time period, it was COVID as well.
Right.
So a lot of the production was delayed because of that. There was a lot of uncertainty with the theatres and certain actors as well. It just was kind of all over the place. So it started when I was 9, the writing process. I think I finished the script when I was 10 or 11, and then we started the whole audition process in the theaters and all of that. But yeah, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. Especially being in a professional work environment. It was really cool to see the workforce, and yeah, it was amazing.
And did you, when you started writing that, was that just kind of, I've got this story in my head and I want to put it down, or did you kind of set out to go, I want to write a musical and I want to put it on stage?
Well, funny story how this actually happened. My grandma Janice, she called me one day and she sent me a link to this writing competition that she had seen on BBC.
Right.
And she was like, "Oh, I think you're going to be great for this. I think you'll love it." So we originally wrote it for the competition. So me and my dad, he was helping me. So I wrote it there and we sent it off to the BBC,
Hmm.
but we didn't hear back for like a few months. And we didn't really expect to hear back instantly, but yeah, eventually my dad was kind of just like this story is amazing. Like let's do it ourselves. So yeah, it kind of just went on from there.
And I think you had did you have a crowdfunder for that one? Or was that kind of,
For the first one, no. That was all out of my dad's pocket. So
oh wow,
kind
that's
of,
a dad who's got a lot of faith in you.
yeah, he really did.
So you kind of went, okay, so I want to do so. Did you ever hear back from the BBC, by the way? Did they ever get back to you?
No, to this day, we still haven't heard anything.
Rude. I bet they're kicking themselves now though. But so you said, right, we're going to produce it. You had to
Hmm.
go out and find yourself a theatre that would produce it, that
Yeah.
would kind of take a bit of a gamble on a 11-year-old playwright.
Basically, yeah.
You were fully involved in all of the audition process for the actors and things like that.
Yeah, I was there when we were doing the auditions. And obviously, because it's an 11-year-old doing it, not a lot of people auditioned. So I was sitting there with my dad with my little notebook, like taking notes when everyone came in and all of that. So yeah, I was involved the whole way through, but obviously I did have a acting role in it myself as well. It was
Right.
a small one, but yeah, so I think along with juggling that as well. So
And tell me a little bit about the story of Walking Blind. So the reason I'm asking is quite often when children write, they write about children. And I don't think you did that, did you?
I think our main character is more like late teens kind of age.
Hmm.
But yeah, basically the story is about this young girl who lives in Ghana with her sister. Her parents have like quite recently passed away, and her older sister decides she needs like a change of scenery to kind of just like clear her mind. So she moves to London to live with her auntie and her cousin, who was the role I played.
Hmm.
And the journey is basically her journey, like how when she comes here, she kind of loses herself, she loses her identity, kind of goes with the wrong crowd, all that kind of stuff. So she falls with bad people, loses herself, and it's kind of how she refines her identity, like using the support system that she has, like her family, all of that. So yeah, that's
Right.
basically the plot.
And is your heritage Ghanaian?
Yeah, yeah, on my dad's side.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got that in common because my dad's Ghanaian as well. So that's
Oh no.
and the reason that it made me think that's, well, apart from the fact your surname sounds like it's Ghanaian, is actually your second play, but we'll come on to that one. So you kind of you did went through the auditions, you went through the whole rehearsal process. You then, how many performances did you do?
We did 3 nights.
And then that all
Yeah.
came to an end?
Yeah, it was quite bittersweet the last night because it had been like a show that we were working on for like years. And it was like I feel like the whole time it was kind of surreal. I wasn't really thinking about the like end result. I think
Mm.
once it finally got there it was like really surreal. So yeah, it was amazing, but kind of bittersweet as well.
And then you thought, I'm a bit bored now, I'll just write another one.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, I started writing Walk Around like quite shortly after.
Mhm.
And yeah, I don't think I actually remember how I got the idea for Walk Around, but I think like it just came one day and then I just like wrote I told my dad and then just kept rolling with it. I think that's just how we work. Just get an idea and then go with it.
And you bounce a lot of ideas off your dad and kind of work them through and that type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, because he knows more about this than anyone else I know. So
It's always handy to have somebody who knows what they're kind of knows what they're talking about and can
yeah.
advise and guide you. It makes a massive difference.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
So the next is War Crown a musical as well?
No, Walk Around's not a musical, but it will have like musical elements to it because quite a large part of African culture is music. So I definitely wanted to incorporate that in it as well. But it's not like the same as Walking Blind, where it's like a song every 2 seconds. So
Yeah. And have you been to Ghana?
no, I haven't
I
actually.
was, it was just, yeah, it's when you said about that music and African culture, because when you eventually get to go to Ghana, that's one of the overwhelming things is there is music everywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely something I want to experience.
And the reason I said that made me think, there's a Ghanaian link here is one of your characters. So War Crown is about three warrior queens, isn't it, really?
Yeah, yeah, basically.
And one of them is Yai Santua.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, Santua, Queen Nanny, and Queen Nandi. So obviously, once the idea came, I knew, yeah, Santua had to be one of them because just even in the household, even like with my grandparents and all of that, her name just comes up as like such a role model. So
Mhm.
she was definitely someone that had to be a part of it.
And for people who don't know Yai Santua, she was a Ghanaian queen mother, which is like a queen, who fought the British, didn't she?
Yep,
When
forget the British.
when the British tried to take over the Ashanti Kingdom and ended up being captured and imprisoned, but we really led the Ashanti nation in war
Yeah.
after the king had been captured. So she's quite a famous figure. My day name is Yar. So occasionally I get, oh yeah,
Yes,
Santua.
yeah, mine is as well.
So yeah, she is. She's quite a powerful character that actually most of the
Yeah, she
Western
really
world
is.
know nothing about.
Exactly. That's why, that's another reason why I kind of decided to go with this. Because after Walking Blind, there was a lot of different like routes I could have gone down, but I felt like this one was a particularly good one to show, to like bring back these characters and these people that a lot of the world has forgotten. Because most people from like African culture and history, people nowadays don't really know. So I
Mm.
think it was important to like bring elements of that back into like modern day.
And I mean, I don't know anything about the other two. So you said Queen Nanny and Queen Nandi. So who are they and where were they from?
So Queen Nanny, she was Ghanaian as well, but she was enslaved and she was taken to Jamaica,
Right.
where she connected with the Windward Maroons, which were a group of runaway slaves that like kind of lived in the mountains of Jamaica. And she kind of like became a queen there. She ruled them, she taught them about guerrilla warfare. And then when the British came again, they fought like ruthlessly against them
Mm,
in the first Maroon War and the second Maroon War.
okay. And then Queen Nandi was the other one, wasn't she?
Yeah, so this one was one that I didn't actually know about until quite recently. Apparently, Queen Nandi is Shaka Zulu's mother.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, so she's ruthless. She's like completely amazing. So
Bit
she
badass then.
also led, yeah, that's kind of the trend between these. They're just hardcore. But yeah, she led in the Battle of Isla Wandula. I can't pronounce it, but yeah, that battle. She fought. It's same with all of them. Like they lead their people so like fearlessly, so courageously. So I feel like this is kind of like what stood out to me about like most of these characters.
Mhm. And I think it's really interesting that you, as kind of a young woman, have chosen to write a play about women and how much of that was important, that it was kind of really powerful African women rather than just Africans.
Well, I think a lot. It's about lifting people up as well. So I think, especially with my generation, we kind of have like self-esteem issues. Um, and there's a lot of like role models in culture nowadays and Black culture, but I feel like the values are kind of different.
Mhm.
I think it's important to kind of balance it out with traditional values of people that fought, that were courageous, that were ruthless, but at the same time loving and caring and supporting. I think it was important to like have that element and to remind people that like these people were mothers, but at the same time, like they were warriors. So
And they led their people, didn't they? It was that whole thing of,
yeah,
they were able to just, like I say, command a nation, and people
yeah,
respected them and would follow them. So it really kind of,
yeah,
yeah, really things to aspire to is to have that kind of ability to lead people and to lift people up. But
yeah,
also, I think there is something about, and you'll find this as you grow up, there's something about when you lead people, you do have to be tough as well, and you've got to be able to kind of,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, put your foot down when it needs to be put down.
Yeah.
So where are you at the stage with War Crown at the moment? Where are you up to with that?
Well, I have finished the second draft of the script,
Mm-hmm.
and we have applied for funding with the Arts Council. So kind of just waiting to hear back about that. And we're also crowdfunding to raise another £5,000 for the show as well. So I think right now I'm kind of just like waiting to see what happens with the money situation, just so we kind of know like what's going on.
Right, because
Um,
you're planning to produce War Crown this October, aren't you?
yeah, we kind of timed it so that it aligns with Black History Month as well. So yeah, I think it's a good addition.
And so I'm just going to say this now. We'll put the link in the show notes as well, but your website is kaylaayerty.com. But
Yeah,
as I say, I'll put the link in the show notes so that people can find it. And I think your crowdfunder details are on there as well, but I'll put a link to them
yeah,
in the show notes so that people can support you on that. So the plan is 22nd to the 27th of October at the Courtyard Theatre in London. So you've kind of got the
yeah,
hold on the theatre. You're just waiting for the funding
yeah,
to start the whole process of auditions and
yeah.
all of that
It,
again.
yeah, it's very suspenseful, kind of waiting to see what the outcome is because I hope that we do get the funding because then we can really like bring the vision to life and like make it a show that's worth seeing. That's the big thing. I don't want to do like any like watered down version, you know. I want it to be really authentic and like full of culture. I think it would be so much easier to do that with the funding. So yeah, kind of just have to cross fingers now. Just wait and see what happens.
No, I'm sure. I mean, you kind of think if the Arts Council is going to support anything, this is the type of thing that it should be supporting.
Yeah,
You've obviously got a lot of talent, and to be nurturing that at your age, who knows where you're going to go to next. So I hope that they do come up with it, but also that your crowdfunder kind of exceeds that as well, and then you can really go to town on your production, can't you? If both come off.
yeah.
So let's say I'm going to ask you to imagine something. So War Crown goes ahead, it happens, big success. What would you really love to do in future? Where do you see? Because you've got another 5 years to go until, well, if you do A levels and things, until you finish full-time education.
Mm.
What's kind of your dream once you leave school? Have you thought that far ahead?
Um, I think doing what I'm doing now, I genuinely want to continue
Mm-hmm.
with the playwriting and all of that. I feel like maybe in future I might venture into a different form of writing as well,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely has to be writing. Like that's like I can feel it. Like doing this, it makes it clear that this is my passion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think in future I have to continue.
Yeah. And I think it'd be interesting with kind of these two plays, if people want to then produce them themselves and that type of thing, that would
Mm,
be, so that more people can see it. Because I
yeah,
personally would have loved to have seen the first one. I'll try my best to come and see the second. But actually, that I think when you've got work that kind of speaks to that black story and that migrant story as well, it is really
yeah,
important that we hear that and we share that. So I want to thank you for doing the work that you're doing and producing it and bringing things like the three queens stories to life,
mm,
because so many people won't have heard of any of them, and I've learned about two new ones today, so that's been really great. And you were talking about other writing, so you're thinking maybe novels, or do you do poetry as well? Did I spot somewhere that you write poetry as well?
yeah. I do. I do enjoy poetry. That is one of the other main ones that I enjoy doing. But yeah, in terms of the other writing, I'm not really sure what I will do outside of this. But yeah, I'm always open to trying new things. So I think it just depends on like what kind of calls out to me. So yeah, just gotta experiment and see what sticks.
Yeah, well, that's it, and this is the time to do that, I suppose, when you still got all of that, those resources through school and things that you can just try different things and kind of feel how
Yeah.
it goes. But as I say, to be well on your way to having two productions before you hit the age of 14, you make me feel like really inadequate. So thank you for that. I'm thinking, what had I done by the time I was 14? And I'd acted in a few things, but I certainly hadn't written anything.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, not my
huge.
intention. Sorry.
No, not at all. In a good way, because I really admire what you've done and what you have achieved. And I hope you're properly proud of yourself for having done that.
Yeah, thank you.
Because I know you said about kind of your generation and having self-esteem issues, and I hate to tell you, it's not just your generation. Quite a few of us have had real issues with kind of that self-esteem and bigging ourselves up. And I think if anybody's got something you can shout about, it's you. I think that what you've done is, like I say, really impressive. Then you should be very, very proud. I'm sure your family's very proud of you as well. So we've got coming up War Crown. I'm going to say the dates again: 22nd to the 27th of October at the Courtyard Theatre in London. And at the minute, you are just waiting for the funding. So we'll talk about your crowdfunding. I'll make sure that goes out. And I just wish you all the very best. And hopefully, like I say, I'll be able to come down and see the
Yeah.
production in October and hopefully meet you.
I'm just hoping that this show just turns out to like educate people in a way, and like show what a lot of these cultures have had. Like it's a sense of community as well. Like that was a big thing that I've noticed while I've been writing it. Like it's big on community. I think like nowadays we kind of lack that sense of community. So I'm really looking forward to doing something that reminds people of that.
Right. And I'm really struck by that your writing's not just there to entertain, it's there to educate. And it sounds like it's there
Yeah.
to connect as well, which is really the best art is not just there to be admired and kind of enjoyed. It's there to do more than that. And I think that's what you're aspiring to do, which is brilliant. So thank you so much, Kayla. It's been really brilliant to have you on the podcast. Hopefully, like I say, I'll get to see you and see the show in October. And I wish you all the very best for the future.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to give a quick final plug for that crowdfunder. If you just search crowdfunder War Crown, it will come up. They're still a little bit shy of that total that they're looking for, so please consider donating to this incredible talent. I hope you've enjoyed that episode of Black All Year. It would be great if you could subscribe and review, because not only will it make sure that you get the content, but it'll help other people to find it too. Take care.